Hey guys, David Franklin here with Cartersville Uncut, getting to sit down with Dr. Clint Terza, our new superintendent for Bartow County School. Wait. I would say welcome, but you've been working in Bartow County Schools now, how long?
Yeah, I've been around for a minute, right? I was here 5 years ago, Chief Leadership and Learning Officer for 5 years.
So you know Bartow County a little bit.
I do, very well.
And so in some respects, this is a step up. But Clint, you know what everybody keeps asking me, and we're just going to get into it, right? Everybody wants to know. I bet I've had 25, 30 people come up and say, all right, do you know this new guy? Is he okay? Where's he going to go? Because there's been a lot of positive momentum.
Yes. In
Bartow County, a lot of people have celebrated the progress that's made. So where are you going to take the school system, man? Because people want to know about their kids and grandkids.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a great question. To your point, there is a high level of excitement and energy because of the foundation that has been laid in Bartow County school system over the past 5-6 years. As a lot of people know, our system is a model PLC community. We're professional learning communities, and we have continued year in and year out to continue to perfect that practice of understanding what a professional learning community is and how that can impact not only our teachers but our student learning as well. So it's number one is to definitely pay homage to our foundation. We can never forget that piece. But the other thing too is, okay, so what are you bringing to the table to kind of continue that growth and progress?
Yep.
So one of the things we did end of last year is, the first thing we did is we got together with all of our principals, and I really just had a few questions for them. And my primary question was, what is that one thing we're missing in Bartow that can really impact student learning at a high level? And after having about a half-day work session with principals, a couple things that came up that were really kind of important. And the first thing was that initial design and delivery of instruction. A lot of times as professional learning communities, we do a lot of focusing on identifying our standards, identifying our learning targets. We talk a lot about assessment building, and we talk about developing our ladders of complexity for our students and ensure that learning can occur at high levels. But we weren't really having a lot of conversations about that tier one instruction, that design, that delivery of lessons to students. And because of that, we dug a little deeper and we said, okay, this is what principals find important. What is each school's guiding coalition? How would they see that question proposed to them? So we met with them at the end of the year as well. We had 400 people at the Clarence Brown, had a full day work session. What's interesting? They said the exact same thing the principals did. So that gives clarity to our direction as we move forward here in the Bartow County school system. We've already met with the principals this year, and we are starting to develop our tier one identity.
All right, guys, let me see if I can interpret that, because I've had to learn working in the school system. There is a language, and I call it educationese.
Is that right?
Yeah.
We do that a little bit.
But if I understand it, you keep working harder at saying, how can we get better at teaching students?
Yes.
So what you're going to, if I hear it right, you're going to continue pushing hard to get better and better and better. So we may not go in a totally new direction. We're just going to keep going in some respects where we've been, because you were part of that leadership that took us down. We got a bunch of national awards and everything.
That's right. We sure have. And that's the other thing too, because, and you mentioned this, Bartow has got a really positive energy about what's going on educational wise. You don't abandon that, right? That is our foundation. That is our identity. So that is something that I don't think any of our schools could operate without reflecting upon those practices. But the other piece too is when the majority of your day is spent on tier one instruction, that initial delivery of information to students, you need to have an identity to what that looks like. So you have consistency across the system when it comes to implementing learning, so you can impact student achievement results.
All right, guys, I'm going to come right back, and I want to ask you this question, okay? You're talking about the delivery of information so that they learn it, okay?
That's right.
I'm going to ask you, how has that changed in the last little stretch? Because students are different. I researched Gen Z. They are different. than what you started off as education and for sure what I did years ago. So we'll be right back. Hey guys, David Franklin here. Back, Cartersville Uncut with Dr. Clint Terza, our new superintendent at Bartow County Schools. Listen, we were just talking about y'all are really trying to focus and sharpen on Tier 1 instruction.
Yes.
So that's that initial, how do you really connect with a kid and get them to learn?
Yes.
Now, I'm old enough to say this, I'm a good bit, a little older than you, but even in your lifetime, you've seen kids change. Every generation learns a different way. So how do you even go about that process of how to deliver content that sticks with the kids so that they can learn and grow? So what have you seen in the last stretch that what you're dealing with, and then what are you doing to address it?
Students are interesting.
That's an
Because
understatement.
as soon as you feel you have it figured out, they may throw you a curveball. So number one, as educators, you always have to be quick on your feet. I've got 3 kids of my own.
Okay.
So to see how my own 3 kids respond to correction, direction, expectations, even with just 3 of them,
So what ages
they
are
will
they?
throw you a curveball. So right now, Devin, my oldest, he is 23. He'll be 24 in October. And my middle daughter, Morgan, she is 21. I don't know how that happened. And then my youngest is 19. So all, one is out of college, and my 2 daughters are still in college right
Okay.
now. Yes.
So anyway, back to this. Sorry to interrupt you like that, but Clint, I've just heard a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. The iPhone has changed
Yes.
a lot of things.
Yes.
So talk about how does that change, and what do you,
Sure.
in today's world, what are you doing?
So
Tier 1.
one of the things that we talk about with our adults as professionals, the thing that is the most powerful and that allows us to be successful as a collaborative team, like a team of 4th grade teachers, so to speak, is that ability to collaborate, right? Because anytime I plan something in isolation, I can pull it off. It will go over okay. But if the 3 of us sat down together and we started collaborating about that same topic, I guarantee you it would get that much better. So that thought process of how do we engage our students, we need to have that same level of expectations for our kids, because our kids do not respond well to stand and deliver instruction, right? That is something that they're going to hang with you for about maybe 3 minutes, and you're going to start losing them at about 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Our kids need to engage in collaboration. Our kids need to be able.
So you're saying the teachers meet on a regular basis to collaborate,
Yes.
sharpen each other.
Yes.
But you're actually doing that with students.
As we move forward, as we are developing our Tier 1 identity, one of the strongest components that teachers can allow their kids to do on a daily basis is to work in small groups and to collaborate on solving a complex question or a complex task. When students have to earn, I guess, that thought process, when students have to struggle to figure out and make connections with a learning target or a Georgia standard, the more they struggle, the more they fight for that, the more they remember that process, and the more that becomes a part of them. Anytime you are handing something to students and expecting them to work in isolation, those activities will yield that the students are going to remember that information for about 20 minutes after they finish that activity. But again, so the more kids can have an experience, the more kids can converse, the more kids can exchange ideas and thought processes, the more that information not only stays with them beyond 20 minutes, but it also stays with them when they, at the end of the year, when they have to perform on a Georgia milestone assessment.
All right, guys, now watch this. Most of us that have a little gray hair like I've got, we grew up in a stand and deliver lecture.
Yes.
We did. I mean, that's just what it was.
That's what I remember.
And I know the statistics that that's not as powerful, and learning does not stick like when you do experiential kind of stuff. It's a little different style of learning, but this younger generation, especially this iPhone generation, that keeps them engaged, doesn't it?
Well, as far as the iPhone keeps them engaged,
No,
or
I'm talking about the collaboration.
oh yes, 100% keeps them engaged, because again, a lot of times, especially with, and I wouldn't say this generation, because I remember as a kid growing up, when you were in a room full of people that you may not know very well out of the gate, you were looking for anything to do in isolation, and that hasn't changed. Our kids, when they get into a situation they're not comfortable with, the first thing they do is they pull out their phone. It's like that escape, right? And again, that when their bubble is small, their learning is small. So the more we can get them speaking with a group of 4 or 5 students and giving them a challenge and purposefully setting up strategies that force students to engage with one another, force students to compliment one another on their hard work or their great idea, the more we can foster and build that community, so to speak, around learning, the more impactful it's going to be for our kids.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break. I'm going to come back, but I'm going to ask you, success that you've seen in the last little bit, has that been working? So, guys, we'll be right back. Hey, guys, David Franklin, back here for Cartersville Uncut with Clint Terza, our new superintendent for Bartow County Schools. Of course, Clint, you've been here 5 years.
Yes, sir.
And you're part of that. Your official title, what you were doing is leadership. What was it?
Chief Leadership and Learning Officer.
Okay, so you've been specializing in that whole leadership learning thing.
Yes.
So this whole direction of engaging kids and collaboration and stuff like that, y'all have already been doing a little bit of that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Has it been successful?
You know, I will say, without question, it has been successful. Yes, you can't take away that we've been recognized as a model PLC district. You can't take away the fact that almost every school in this system has been recognized as a model PLC school as well, both of which are national recognitions. We are probably one of the only large school system in the nation that can say we are at that status. So without question, there's been a lot of positive energy with regards to that. But the other thing that I find fascinating too, and again, I think this really kind of led to our direction that we're going to continue to move with for the next school year, is this year we engaged in our Focus Team Initiative. Okay, so one of the things that we had said is when we go around, we observe instruction in the classroom, what are those specific teacher engagement practices that we would like to see more of in a classroom? And what are the student engagement practices that we would like to see in the classroom as well? So this really kind of set off a unique pathway for our principals, for our local school guiding coalitions, to start having those conversations with their collaborative teams. And one of the things we've noticed is that because our teachers put in writing their lead behaviors, and that really kind of related to what am I going to do every day with my students to engage them at high levels and ensure that our rigor is at appropriate levels to challenge our kids every day. So once teachers started doing some research, implementing some practices, we kept a tally. We had something we called our scoreboard, right? So somebody on that team would go in and, for example, if I'm a teacher, I would commit to unpacking the standard with my students at the beginning of every lesson. Because as we know, the complex language that is associated with the Georgia standards is very high, and our students need to be exposed to that, need to understand that on a daily basis. So as a teacher, if I say I'm going to commit to that each and every day, somebody's got to keep score, and somebody's got to make sure I'm actually doing what I committed to. So after
What you're saying is vision, direction, and accountability.
100%, right?
And that's been missing in so many places that I've been in so many different organizations. So good for y'all.
Yeah, that accountability piece is huge. But the other thing too is our teachers really appreciated that process, because the one thing I know about our faculty here in Bartow is that our teachers want exceptional results for our kids. and they stop at nothing to make sure it can happen. So once we implemented the scoreboard, once they would engage in that practice for 5 to 7 days, then that would allow to what we called accountable conversations. So they would review their scorecard, and they would see where they're seeing success, and they would also have conversations of, hey, I noticed I went to teacher A and we only did it 1 out of 6 days. So how can we support you with this process, right? Because we all want to be successful. Because of that experience, we have seen some tremendous growth on our Georgia Milestone Assessment. I have the results literally were put on my desk 2 days ago, and for the past 2 days we have been really digging in and celebrating the growth that we're seeing because of that focus team initiative.
Clint, some of those scores I know because y'all shared with me, reading scores, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade have gone up dramatically, and
yes, sir.
The number of kids that have increased SAT and ACT, and it's been really, really fun to watch the progress that's been made because, guys, school systems impact attracting businesses, growth. I mean, the idea of isolation doesn't work, not just for a kid or a teacher, but for us.
That's right.
So listen, guys, I'm going to come back and we're going to do one last section, and I'm going to ask you the most random, off-the-wall questions all over the place, but also where's he from, stuff like that. But, all the questions that some of y'all have been asking me, I'm going to ask him. So I'll be right back. Don't go away. Hey, guys, David Franklin back here with Clint Terza, our new school superintendent for Bartow County Schools, getting ready to ask you just spitfire questions. Are you going to be ready for opening of school? It's your first year as a superintendent, so you're going to be ready.
We better be, right? After this, we better be. We are so excited. Meeting with principals on Tuesday just really gave everyone a boost of energy. The synergy, the excitement about the direction we're moving forward with. Really enjoyed meeting with them and having engaging conversations. We have phenomenal building principals here in Bartow. So yesterday we got to welcome back 130 new hires to Bartow County. So got to spend a few hours with them yesterday. Our principals hired very well. That was a good room. That was a good room. So we had a great time. Our Deputy Superintendent, Christian Suttle, and I, like I said, we spent a few hours, had some great conversations, great training on what our climate and culture is at the Bartow County school system.
And that's huge. All right, second question is, what keeps you awake at night when it comes to the school system? I'm
missing an email. Oh my God, because sometimes, when you transition roles, right, into the superintendent position, you get these emails and you're like, is this a sales email or is this a really important email? So, yes, you got to make sure you get it right and don't miss anything.
That's funny. All right, here's another one. We've taken some real steps as a community over the last stretch in not working in silos, so business, government, faith, education work together. Are you going to continue working collaboratively with the whole community, or are you going to go do isolation? Now, I know what he's going to answer. He didn't have a choice because I'm sitting here, but no, seriously, people will have asked me, okay,
right.
Is he still going to want to work with people in the community?
Right. If you want to be successful, you got to engage your community. Those things do not happen in isolation.
You heard it? That was good. That was good, Clint. So,
I've been practicing.
You've been practicing. Listen, we've got people from all over the world moving in.
Sure.
What are we doing to address that? Because I helped with Afghan refugees coming in.
Right.
And y'all were great to work with. So, real short, what are we doing with a changing demographic of people coming to Bartow County schools?
Number one, and we've said this for years in Bartow County, our fundamental purpose in Bartow is learning. So regardless of what student comes through that door, we, as an educational community, have the obligation and a responsibility to meet those students where they are and to lift them to where we need them to be. We are fortunate and blessed at Bartow. We have a tremendous ESOL program. English is a second language.
Yeah, I was about to say,
Yeah.
they use all these things you have to, yeah.
I unfancied it, right? English is a second language program to where we have teachers trained throughout every one of our buildings. When you have a student that has a language barrier, there are specific learning strategies that can support them with that learning a new, acquiring a new language.
Yeah.
So we are prepared, we are ready, we have people in place, and they are passionate about getting those students and working with them and getting them.
And I get to work with some of them. They've been great. I'm talking about they have been great.
Group. Yes.
Working with those refugees, the folks at Taylorsville and then Woodland Middle School, they were just great to work with. Give a shout out to those folks.
They deserve it.
Yeah. Listen, you talked about 3 kids, married or single?
Me?
Yeah.
Definitely married.
All
Yes.
right. How many years?
Yesterday was our anniversary, so it has been 27.
27
I was doing
years.
some quick math in my head there. Did you notice?
Yeah. You're such a rookie. You're such a rookie. 27. Okay, I got 40. Okay. But tell us your wife's name.
Lori.
Lori.
Yes.
Where are you from originally, Clint?
Originally born and raised Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
How'd you end up down here in Georgia?
Weather. Yes. I was not going through another winter. I graduated college, took my last final. My car was already packed. Drove straight to Georgia.
So you've been in Georgia for the last stretch. Where all have you worked?
First started with Jefferson Parkway Elementary in Coweta County.
Okay.
Great experience.
What'd you do at an elementary school?
So I taught 5th grade.
Fifth grade.
And 5th grade.
Okay. So being an elementary school, but I thought, weren't you a principal of a high school?
Oh yes. So started out 5th grade teacher, Jefferson Parkway. I taught there 1 year. Drove literally 112 miles every single day. Second year, I got a little closer to home, and I had continued my teaching career at Burney Elementary in Cobb County. And from there, worked into administration. Became principal at Austell Intermediate, and that's in Cobb County as well. Was principal there for 7 years, and thought I had everything figured out about education. So I thought it'd be a great idea. Why don't we try middle school? So I went to middle school, Smith Middle School, 5 years. I learned more in that experience than I probably had in my career.
Wow.
Right when you think you've got everything figured out, you have all the answers to the test, you walk into a situation that can humble you and expose you to different learning experiences, and hopefully that broadens you and allows you to be more successful. Did that for 5 years, absolutely loved it, and then my last principal assignment was at South Cobb High School for 3 years.
And I know that was really a transition community and everything. Listen, we got to wrap this thing up because David Paul, he'll look at me and say, you're talking too much. But listen, guys, thanks for joining us. And Clint Terza, you and I have known each other. We've already worked together. I look forward to you being in a new role, but us continue to work together. And that's one of the great things. The collaboration in a community here is like none other. And listen, man, we just say thank you for what you're doing with kids because it matters.
My pleasure.
Guys, pray for our schools. Thank you.